instrumental that we need to talk about if we are going to see development right into the communities and also at a global kind of scene. So getting to speak into innovations that have been created or sustainable efforts that have been created in terms of food production and also consumption is something very, very fundamental. And tonight on the call, I do have a couple of guys that have come in, and we are going to be having this chat, but Monica is going to be the guest speaker. But I also want to inform you that it's an open discussion. We are going to be engaging almost everyone, because we understand that we have a lot of people that have expertise in this kind of area. So if to kickstart, I would love Jocas to also come in and add something on that as we proceed into the gist of the matter. Mr. Jocas, I'm afraid I can't hear you.
Okay, thank you so much, Patrick, and everyone who is online and watching live. We are right now live on YouTube as well as Facebook, and we are sharing conversation around slow food. As you know that the world is now looking at ways how best can we sustain the food production, be the food security. Looking at slow food gardens on responsible consumption and production is our theme for today that we are going to look at. As we promote food security, what can someone else do? For example, those who are living in food, who are actually surviving on food to mouth. We have also those who are actually surviving on 1 meal per day. But what can be done at the end of the day is a responsibility of young people and those in of course, decision-making positions to decide or to sensitize communities on what they can do next. It is, of course, our duty as young people, as we celebrated the Youth Day. A lot happened and still post-activities are going on. But remember, the takeaway is always an individual package that you go ahead to, of course, do something at the end of the day. Briefly about the organization is that Wilmot Development Foundation, that you can summarize as WDF Uganda, is a youth-led organization that looks at empowering underprivileged communities of Uganda, Africa, and the world at large through sustainable approaches that are community-led. And we look forward, of course, to see that at least everyone is inclusive of our programs, ranging from agriculture, that is climate smart agriculture, women economic empowerment, alongside youth economic empowerment. It's not only economic empowerment, but just entirely empowering people to be resilient and self-reliant in different approaches. Remember, today, we are in position, of course, to train and empower everyone, but you cannot do that for a very long time. So what we are trying to do is to ensure that at the end of the day, people become self-reliant or resilient in delivery, so that they can be able to provide for themselves and also produce their own food without any other person. So as we traject and also dismantle the packages that we have today, in line with, of course, slow food, this will be a greater chance for us to know what does it take for someone to start up a small farm at home, and what does it take for you to start to scale up to, let's say, income generating activity. Remember, agriculture is one of the rich sectors, but few people are actually actively involved. So the question would be, how are we going to ensure that there is an increase in number of people who are participating in agriculture? What about the value chain? You know, all those are things that we need to understand on how best can you start up something. You know, you may be looking at yourself and say, okay, what next can I do? But all this is in our hands to ensure that at the end of the day, there is something that is done, and there is someone else who also is sharing the common agenda like I do. So let's move through the entire discussion and ensure that at least we put something on paper. It's going to be an open discussion. you're free to, of course, write in the chat or raise your hand so that now we can be able to converse after every presenter. As well, we'll also need Doctor to say something at the end of the day so that he doesn't move out without saying anything. Thank you very much. Back to you, Patrick.
All right, thank you very much, Jokas. And yeah, just like he has said, if we'll need people to contribute to the conversation to make sure that we give it a proper sense of direction. So engagement can happen on the chat, or you can raise your arm and then we can just slot you in and you get to say something. Yeah, so from Jokas's brief, we get quite interesting questions that he puts across that we are going to look at in terms of how can one start maybe a small farm? How can one scale up, and looking into the value chain, what could be the opportunities therein, and everything to do with how can we like bring on board as many youths into the space as possible. And for now, I think let me cross and get to Monica. Monica, you're on call. You can please say good morning and maybe a small introduction before I can then dwell you or dive you into the actual discussion.
Okay, thank you so much. Morning, everyone. My name is Monica Navasa, and I'm the coordinator of the Slow Food Gardens in Uganda. I will request to stop the video and share the presentation. Okay, before we go so much into responsible production and consumption, I will begin by talking about the slow food gardens and explaining how different they are from the normal gardens. First of all, these slow food gardens are demonstration gardens. So